Well, for more, we can cross to our correspondent Jasper Mortimer, who's in Istanbul. Jasper, you're not far from where those talks are set to take place. What's likely to come out of them?
Well, the potential for success in these talks is declining rapidly. Yesterday, it was announced that Vladimir Putin would not attend. However, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky would be flying to Ankara, and the Russian delegation would be led by an aide to Putin. His name is Vladimir Zelensky. Today, it was announced early in the morning that the talks would start at 10 o'clock here in Dolmabahce Palace, the palace behind me. That was 1 hour ago. Neither the Russian delegation nor the Ukrainian delegation has arrived yet. Half an hour ago, the Ukrainian embassy told me that they still didn't know who would lead the Ukrainian delegation. Now, it looks as if what might happen is that when Vladimir Zelensky touches down in Ankara shortly, and he's due to meet President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in about 2 hours' time, that he will make some decisions about the talks and who would lead them. The Ukrainian foreign minister is in Turkey. He's at the NATO summit down in Antalya, and that's only an hour's flight away from Istanbul. However, among the 200 journalists to the left of me here, there is a strong rumor going around that there may not be talks at all. And this is very disappointing because the talks were held in this palace 3 years ago. They did start on time, and then we had the idea that the talks were serious.
Jasper, you mentioned that informal meeting between NATO foreign ministers in Antalya. What's on the agenda there?
Yes, well, there the NATO delegates do have a plan on the table. The foreign ministers are doing the hard work for their heads of government who are due to meet at a NATO summit mid-year. Now, US President Donald Trump wants the 32 member states to raise their defense expenditure to 5% of GDP. It has been pointed out that America itself doesn't spend 5% of its GDP on defense yet. However, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has come up with a plan which will be debated in Antalya today for member states spending 3.5% of their GDP on defense. They would reach that target by 2032, a gradual increase over 7 years. And then they spend another 1.5% on military-related projects, such as building roads and railways that would allow their militaries to move around their countries more quickly. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in Antalya, and it is thought that after spending some time at the NATO meeting there, he would fly up to Istanbul and try and bash heads together here in Istanbul. But that all depends on whether the Ukrainians and the Russians do sit down together in this palace behind me.
All right, Jasper Mortimer, you'll no doubt be keeping an eye on that, and we will cross to you later for any updates. Thank you.